in 2020 to offset that hell of decommissioning. So all these issues are building up. So it's important that people pay attention to page 2 of that budget committee document. To clarify what was commented about the National Grid windfall, when I was on the budget committee a couple of years ago, when we got that $90 million windfall from National Grid, we used that for the bond, for the Kendall Dean bond and for the Bushy bond. We would have also extended it to the elementary, but the school department wasn't ready, so we couldn't float the bond. But now we're stuck now with a brand new bond that we're going to have to pay for in 2019 and 2020 and for the next 20 years. So all these issues are building up. So we got to do better planning. We have to work with the administrator. We have to listen to what he's saying to balance the budget. The other thing that's coming up is, I think in the past we funded capital improvements with surplus from the school department. I don't think we should be doing that going forward. We should be setting aside capital money directly into the revolving fund to fund projects. We shouldn't be going into an operating budget, grabbing surpluses, and then shifting it over for capital. It makes no sense at all. We should tighten up the operating budget and put more money directly into capital that's going to be assigned to a revolving fund. You know, I think we have to change policy. We have to put more money in capital for the school, but we also got to shrink the operating budget increase. You can't have it both ways. You can't set aside capital and also inflate the school operating budget and then all of a sudden wait until it's a surplus so that we can do capital. That's not the way to do it. So I guess we have a lot of changes to do, but I think it's time that we should get some input from our administrator as to what he thinks what's happening right now. He did make some comments on his newsletter on Friday, and I would like him to speak on some of these issues that we're facing with these shortfalls in 2019 and 2020. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Clifford.
I agree with the Budget Committee's bottom line number, but I take exception. The only thing I disagree with is the use of that on page 5 of 10 of Appendix C on the fund balance restoration / contingency line item. I've asked this, I raised the issue last year, and I'm going to raise it again this year. That was never grouped together like that, and I believe that the fund balance restoration is not treated by the auditors as a surplus at the end of the year. It's an internal transfer that's required. A contingency fund with unspent funds is reflected as a surplus at the end of the year. And if you're grouping them now together in one line item, I don't know how the auditor is supposed to figure out of the $300,000 or $250,000 that's in there, how much of that was truly intended and earmarked for fund balance restoration versus contingencies. So I wish we would get in the habit of delineating those as they always used to be delineated in either one category or the other. The second thing is, I don't believe in putting the money into the contingency line item unless we have a known reason to believe it's going to be used. And I've heard time and time again the issue of restoring the fund balance and getting more into reserves and then pay as we go with money from that account. And I'm totally opposed to that at this point in time because I think we're putting the cart before the horse. We have limitations in your charter that require or limit the council's ability to take on more than $250,000 worth in debt without voter approval. But we have nothing in that charter that protects the voter from some town council dipping into the fund balance and raiding the whole thing and spending the $6 million on a fleet of blue limos for some town employees or something. Anything ridiculous. There's no limitation in the charter. And I think before we start stashing money away, we ought to have some limitations in the charter as to how that money can be used and what it can be used for. I know you have adopted a fund balance policy, but it's just that, a policy that a new council can modify, change, or reject, or not even follow. I don't agree with just putting money aside and pay as you go without that language in the charter to begin with. And I think we voted The voters in the last election voted $4.3 million for the schools projects. Well, now we're spending that $4.3 million plus $2 million from their own fund balance. So we're spending more money than the voters approved. One way or another, that money came from taxpayers in the town. And I think they should have a say in how the money is spent and when it's spent and on what. And this, to me, is just circumventing voter approval requirement of needing voter approval, and I'm totally opposed to that. I'd also like to suggest that you give some serious thought to taking the money that's in that contingency, fund balance restoration, contingency line item, and transferring some more of it into the road resurfacing account. I know that I've been told, I don't know if it's accurate or not, I heard it at one of the meetings, that 300 and some odd thousand that you've got budgeted in road repaving is also going to be used to repave Edward Avenue and Park Drive after the sewers are installed. So it doesn't leave a lot of money for the rest of the town to be paved. You also have some money in your fund balance that's restricted for the use of road repaving that hasn't been used in previous years. But when I took on this chair of the Budget Committee in 2012, there had not been a penny in the road repaving line item for the previous 6 years, not one penny. That's a long period of time to go without road repaving. And we started to fund that line item, and we tried to boost it up every year. And I think if you look at the old Budget Committee reports, you're going to see comparison to Lincoln budgeting $800,000 at the time in road repaving and suggesting that we should try to achieve that number. And you had a huge shortfall in the amount of money that you need to resurface all the roads. I mean, the Pacelli report that you got in 2013, I think, showed much more money required, tens of millions of dollars. I don't remember the exact number that was in the report, and I didn't pull it before I came to the meeting tonight. But what we did get voter approval for, the 2.3, was a drop in the bucket, and it did, a handful of roads. So unless you start putting money annually at a very decent and substantial number, I don't see how you're ever going to play catch up on the road resurfacing. And, we're worried about everything else under the sun, rightfully so, about the safety of kids, but the buses are driving on those roads. Some of those roads in the last report weren't even, they were ranked 10, 9 was the worst ranking, and 1 was the best ranking. And some of those 9s, buses go over every day. So I don't know, I think we ought to, that is a priority in my mind, is the road repaving. And have great schools there to get the kids there safely too, which is a consideration. So that's all I have to offer. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Before you go, Cynthia, quick question. The money for Parkview and Edward Ave, isn't that whole left over from the, from the bond, right? That did the other roads?
The $2.8 million road repaving bond is completely exhausted.
Okay, thank you.
Jean Mayo, please.
Hello, I'm Jean Mayo. I live at 11 Charlton Trail, and I am on the school committee. When the school committee first saw the budget last December, $871,000 had already been cut to attain the 4% maximum allowed by the town. When our budget went to the budget committee, it had been reduced by 3.4% by further cuts on our part. When word came that there was a slight increase in state aid and a decrease in health care costs, that was good news to me because I had hoped that it could be used to help reinstate some of the important items in the budget that we had been forced to cut, instead of using it to further reduce our request, as has been proposed by the Budget Committee and the Town Administrator. And I understand the conclusions and the reasoning of both the Budget Committee and Mr. Ozofsky, but we on the School Committee have to advocate for our constituency, the students. Our most important goal is to offer them the quality education that they deserve. And we are trying to do our best to do just that in spite of 5 main things that are working against us. Number 1 is the apparent end of a 10-year decline in enrollment, which means we can't cut positions. And number 2, 20 or so out-of-district sped placements. And that's a number that's consistently changing, constantly changing. And some of these placements have very large dollar amounts associated with them. Number 3, 60 or so tuitions for students going to charter or technical schools or out-of-district schools. We want to keep our North Smithfield students in district, so we are hoping to lower that number by offering our own pathways and career technical education opportunities. But it will cost money to initiate some programs in order to save money that we're spending out of district. Number 4 is a spike in DCYF placement, and number 5 is related to that. It's a changing population in North Smithfield that is not as ready or as prepared for school as it previously was. And that equates to the need for kindergarten aides and math and reading interventionists, which have already been cut or are on the chopping block. All of these factors place a tremendous burden on our ability to meet our needs and our goals, and they certainly limit our ability to move forward to better our school system. Quality education is the single most important asset of any community, and I hope that you will keep this in mind as you deliberate the budget. We can't afford a drastic cut and expect to move forward or create future opportunities for our students. Thank you for listening, and I'd like to echo Mr. Lombardi's comment that if you have any questions or comments about our budget, please reach out to the superintendent or the business office or the administrative team or any one of us on the school committee, because we need you to understand our needs. Thank you.
Laurel Chardolin, Mechanic Street. Lori Chardolin, sorry. Bad penmanship. I'm here for my kids to support the full 4% increase for the school department. 4 years ago, I moved here from North Kingstown for the school system here. Since then, we've fallen in love with this town, and we've found friends, neighbors, and a sound community that supports and promotes positive change and listens to its community members. Our recreational and sports facilities need to have continued improvement. We've got some amazingly incredible athletes that are coming up. And we have these incredible athletes that are the promise of tomorrow's growth for this town. And this is evident by just the success of the Run, Jump, Throw community kickoff. That was a huge surprise I was so surprised that we had so many elementary school kids that were so interested in it. In addition, now we have 40 middle schoolers that are paying to do Run, Jump, Throw middle school edition. We have kids that want more athletics, and the more money that is allotted, the more programs that we can offer, and the more the students can go out in the community and beyond Rhode Island and promote our town. I understand the money constraints. My own family has made acknowledgments, but with acting as our due diligence as town residents, when we bought our new house less than a mile from our old house, I called the town and told them they need to come and reassess it because the tax was all wrong. I'm going to take a huge hit, but I'm definitely willing to do it to see my kids' passions portrayed and keep going. My middle schoolers are having so much fun that my daughter, who normally competes on the race team out of Cranston, has forgone her junior Olympic season with Cranston to stay here with her middle school friends because she's having so much fun. That's amazing, and we need to continue to grow it. And she is excelling beyond all imagine, and I can urge you to continue the athletic developments. Again, as these kids are our future, and I'm hearing in the back seat of my car as I'm driving these boys to and from practices and girls, how much they want to come back here and raise their own families here. That's like heartwarming. You know, I've never heard that before, and I've lived everywhere in this country. I believe in this community and absolutely support the increase. And regarding the concession stand, didn't want to hear that part. Regarding the concession stand and the restrooms, with the facilities the way that they are in, we can't host invitational meets. We can't save money on transportation, and that's not being allotted and not thought about. We're busing these kids to other meets and transportation stuff when we could be bringing them here and hosting invitational meets here and charging for that. We have football players, like semi-pro football player teams that come in here. Those are big guys. We need some bigger space for them in there. But, anyway, thank you.
Peg Rhonda, please. Okay. Peg Rhonda, 440 Buxton Street, and North Smithfield, excuse me, North Smithfield School Committee. I'm not going to be too long because I think so many people have already voiced many of the things that I talked about, so. I want to start by saying that we all want what is best for this town. I know that each of you care deeply about our schools and our students, but this is a problem that grew roots years ago. Dating back 7 years, the average local increase to the schools is 1.7%. 2 of those years saw no local increase whatsoever. At the same time, our students have been coming to school with more and more challenges. Simply, the town demographics are changing, and we can't go back to where we were 20 years ago. We need to look honestly and soberly at the students sitting in our seats today. These students struggle early, and in past years, we haven't supported them. Recently, school committee meetings have been beset by parents asking about the supports for their children who struggle in mathematics. We have to listen to those parents, and we have to help those students. At the same time, statewide efforts continue to expand career and technical education choice options at a time when we have to cut classes because there aren't funds to expand. I readily admit that we cannot provide all things to all students. We have to find the right balance, and I think we're very close. We're ranked 4th in the state for high school performance, and we're focusing on a handful of solid career and technical education programs. We're not adding programs. We're consolidating and increasing efficiencies. We can stay on this path. We just ask that we not go backwards. I ask that you reconsider the school department's budget request. It's not an easy decision, but I truly believe that an investment in our school is the single best investment you can make for our town. Thank you.
Country Way. Thank you for giving me a couple of minutes. Tonight I would like to speak on behalf of the North Smithfield Parks and Recreation Commission, but also as a citizen and a taxpayer here in town. I'd like to talk a little bit about vision. About 12 years ago, I was fortunate enough to get involved with some forward thinkers who got together to advocate for the construction facility. Well, that construction project went up to vote, and it passed by 33 votes. And you know what? If it hadn't passed, we wouldn't be here tonight. We'd probably all be sitting at Hallowell. But because of those forward thinkers, people who really pushed to get that done, we're sitting in a beautiful facility tonight. Well, since that time, very little, in my opinion, has moved forward here in North Smithfield. Really, little construction or even improvements. Now, a few months ago, I stood up here and discussed with you folks the state of the Parks and Recreation in North Smithfield. And I hope you haven't forgotten what I had to say that night. The turf complex, where I've had the pleasure to both coach and welcome visitors, only to see their puzzling look when I pointed out the porta-johns to them. They looked at, why didn't you finish the job?